Oh my gosh, so many people have a problem trusting their intuition. I mean, I can't even say like even people practitioners that are I advise, they're they even question their intuition sometimes. And it's not a problem. Don't judge them for it. It's a part of the journey of where you're at. That's why we outgrow people, right? Because we start pairing up with people on the same journey as us. But when we're looking at trusting our intuition, there are some common obstacles, mainly the brain. And so when we're overcoming it, it's what people have told us, societal constraints of like, you're nuts, you're crazy. That's not true. Um, but you believe it and you hear it playing. You hear that it's Satan's work or devil work. That's another one I hear. Um, that I can't be, or I'm not as good, or I'll never, all those types of statements. Yep, that's also coming from your head. And when we look at that, it's coming from you comparing yourself to others. So you got to stop doing that. Um, Another is just allowing yourself the time to have the experiences for the repetitive uh, action that creates the practice. So some people will be like, oh, I'm just not growing anymore. Well, when was the last time you did your practice? And it'll always be like, well, it's been a week, it's been a month, it's been 6 months, right? You actually have to practice every day. That's why I was saying, like, this isn't for everybody because you have to choose to do it. And we're lazy. So just human beings are lazy, right? And so if you aren't willing to put in the work, you're going to have a ton of obstacles. But doing the practice is a big one. You have to do it at a minimum once a day. But I would love it if you did it twice a day because it's just like supercharges your connection. And then once you start feeling it, you understand what I mean and you start craving it. I used to hate drinking water. I thought it tasted disgusting. Turns out I hated city water because once I moved out onto my farm in the middle of nowhere and had no toxins in my water and it was coming straight from the earth, oh my gosh, I have the most beautiful water. I don't even have a filtering system. And I do get my water tested and every year. And my water tastes so good. It's from this beautiful natural spring. And now I love water. And I drink like almost 100 ounces every day. These are 32-ounce bottles. And I drink 2 to 3 of these, two at a minimum, but somewhere between three or more a day because I like it. But that was a construct of my brain that it was, I don't like water. Well, that wasn't my truth. So when you're looking at your obstacles and your brain of how it's like stopping you and creating this struggle of trusting your intuition, those obstacles are all in your head. And it's you that has to break those patterns. And that's why I talk about getting free from societal constraints, about understanding your core values, your belief system, your self-awareness, your boundaries, all those things, because those are all constructs that have been programmed in you. And when we're going through the journey and spiritual pathfinders and consciousness, those programs are designed to break you free from societal constraints and start having this pattern of experience where you start realizing I can do this. Oh my gosh, my pendulum and I are vibing. My automatic writing is off the hook. And oh my gosh, you're showing up and showing up and showing up because it just got real sexy, right? And you're just like, oh my gosh, all these things are popping off. They will only pop off if you can figure out how to free yourself from your own mind and take control over that little control freak and start speaking to yourself from your soul. I point here a lot because a lot of us resonate with our heart as where our soul is in the core and center of us. So when you look at your core of your soul, and that is what's leading you, because by default, your physiology is actually driven by your heart. Heart is what triggers your brain to think. What triggers your brain to act in your body comes from your heart, which is where your soul is dropping straight into, right? It actually drops straight through all of us. But This is where we pick up the first sign of physiology, physical experience from our soul is in our heart. And then that feeding up into our brain is where the message gets like this telephone game. And so we have to like stop it here to get through those obstacles. And so when we start listening to our heart and our soul, we'll be able to find the truth. And then we can break free from those obstacles of our brain a lot better, transforming those patterns and creating new patterns through neural hacking and other practices I teach you so that you're not in this spot of just being stuck because you don't got to be there. There are no obstacles. They're all in your head. You just have to get it to shut up so we can start going through the process correctly. So that's how you would overcome them, is taking control over your mind. And however that may be, you can go see a good therapist. Seriously. I love therapy. I love therapists. They're like they're like the warriors out there in the world, slaying all the evil, helping you find your truth. It's amazing. And they're really good at giving you so many techniques for neural hacking, and they have the science behind all of it and the experience to help you very quickly break through. Because that's really what happens is when you find a teacher, and that could be a therapist, it could be a guru, it could be, whatever that looks like for you. You're just looking for uh, examples and options to speed up a process and to find things that you haven't thought of yet because you've been in a construct, so you don't know what's possible. You get to a point on your journey where you realize anything is possible, and then there's no more obstacles. And then when you experience, like you see, you feel, you hear, whatever, there's an obstacle there, you very quickly identify it and remove that roadblock. It doesn't last long. Um, and the only purpose of the foundations of like the programs we have is so that when those obstacles come up, you identify them. And also when you are given new experiences, you don't shut down because your brain, again, is that safety mechanism and it'll try to shut down if it sees something it can't cognize. It sees it as a threat. And so a lot of people experience that when they start doing like astral traveling and or whatever label you want to put on it, but they'll they'll shut down because they'll see these other realities and they'll freak out because they can't cognize it. And so if you have your foundations, you can see those flags and it stops it in its tracks, and you can get back in body, get back in your brain, and work through that process to make sure that it doesn't shut you down next time and you're like, no, it's safe. Really. It's just a different world that I'm not familiar with, right? We go through it in this reality, but it's different because it's a collective. And when you're on your spiritual journey and you're developing your intuition, you're on your journey on your own. I mean, there's a collective of us, right? We do it in groups so that everyone's going along this journey together. But at the same time, the challenge is when you're doing your practice, you are like doing that through your own experience. And so you can kind of get in your head that way. So, but that would be like the most common obstacle. And you can make a huge list, but it all boils back down to your mind. That's all it boils down to. And it doesn't even, and I've had people say, well, I am ADHD or I'm ADD or I don't need to do this practice or that practice. And all right, doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. uh, all of those labels are, they don't fit in the construct of the society as has been known. And if you're wondering what that means, look at the volume of mental health challenges we have in the world and think about that. Think about the variety from people taking their physical lives with our suicide rate, people struggling with addiction, people getting labeled with so many disorders, right? When we look at all of this, that is the challenge we have right now of the mind is the obstacles. Every mind is beautiful. You just have to figure out how to hack yours. And it's not hard to do. Sounds hard, and it's not. It's very easy to hack your mind and create a new reality. But that's why I think therapists are great. And gurus are great too. Gurus often will do teachings based off of ancient knowledge that's been passed down into their paradigm. And then they have a lot of spiritual experiences, learning from masters and deities and angels and guides, being able to help them so that they can help others too, and being initiated into different trainings and teachings. And then, of course, Western science that's been building on all of this too. So there's a lot of different opportunities for how you can get through these obstacles. Whatever one you pick is your path that fits for you. And maybe you're picking like 3 or 4 of them all at the same time. Here for it. So try all of those different thoughts on, see how they fit, do some journaling about it, and see where you end up, and start trusting your intuition, because trusting it is when you really start breaking free and being able to grow into all these different abilities people want, from being an empath to a psychic to levitating and traveling, not being constricted by the physical vibration that you're in now of this physical world, and being able to be in this world, but in the universe, and having the experience of the entire universe while you also have the option to come back into this physical body. That's when stuff gets really fun and interesting.